I read this and read this and read this, and I said, now, this ain't a whole lot of scripture, Lord. What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say in reversing? How are we going to reverse a culture of being lost? Because there's a whole lot in here, Lord, and I'm not understanding. I'm not getting it. I'm not gathering it. And it says, just write and I'll show you. Yes. First thing is, you have to remember the true value of your purpose. The coin has value attributed to it. If you pull out your wallet, you find a $5 bill, $10 bill, $20 bill, whatever. There is value that has already been predetermined to that monetary note.
Yes, yes.
Go somewhere with a $50 bill, they may have to check it with a counterfeit pen. But there is value attributed to that monetary note that it can be used for purchasing services and goods in different places that take money, right? This coin had value. It was a day's wage. It represented something that could be used to advance this woman's life. The coin for us represents purpose.
That's right.
Because a person that has no purpose lacks certain amounts of value. This is hard for this, right? Question is, where did you lose your purpose? It may have been while fooling around with something else that you didn't need to fool around with. Getting distracted by what folk had to say and what they were doing to you and towards you. Getting distracted by life's demands. Suddenly, because you were caught up in what was going on the job, or what people were saying to you, and what people were saying about you, and how they were treating you, you somehow fumbled your purpose. And you've been looking for it ever since. But then after a while you stop looking for it because it didn't mean that much to you. And because it didn't mean much to you, it loses value. And because it loses value, you lose value. Because church, guess what? Nobody can value you better than you.
That's right. That's right.
I can tell you the greatest thing on the planet, love on you and the whole nine. But if you don't believe it,
That's right.
nothing I say makes a difference.
That's right.
See, when you get down to it, it's still about looking at yourself. Because the scripture tells us, I will praise thee. This is what the psalmist wrote. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and my soul knoweth right well. My goodness, when I look at myself, I ought to be able to see that there is purpose by design. Because when he designed me, he put some purpose in me that was meant for this earth to see. You were meant to be seen not for you, but that you would demonstrate what God can do through anybody. God can use anybody he gets good and ready to use. That's why when I start talking about evangelism and I start saying, hey, it's not just me, but it's you as well. It's because God has placed value on your life. When he died, he placed value on your life. And the value was that you would be able to rise up and tell the world about how good he is. Yes. Not to sit on the sideline and allow things to still get out of whack. See, this is not a me thing, it's a we thing. We ought to be able to see ourselves having value towards moving this world towards Jesus Christ. It's not just going to be pastors that get it done. It's not going to just be preachers that get it done. It's not going to just be deacons Christians that get it done. It's everybody that's had an encounter with Jesus Christ. And if you've had an encounter with Jesus Christ, you ought to be able to stand up and say, Lord, I thank you for what you've done for me. But now, Lord, use me to tell somebody that's in a dying world that you still live.
Yes, yes.
Not because I just need something else to do, but because you value me, I value me. The woman valued that coin. And she began to do whatever she could to find it.
Yes, yes.
Which leads to the second thing. You have to reposition the house.
All right.
Now, the text says that this woman moved. It better says she carefully looked. Which means she had to rearrange something.
All right, all right.
She had to move some stuff around. You know when you tell your children, or you told your children, look, children say, I lost my shoe. First question, where did you last have it? On my foot. Next question, where were you when you last had it on your foot? I was in the living room. So go in the living room and find it.
Yes.
But the child can't move stuff around. And they legitimately say, I still can't find it. Because your child's not able to necessarily move certain things out of the way. But eventually, when you go in there and you carefully look, you find that the shoe somehow got behind the couch. And then you have to move the couch, reach down, grab the shoe, and say, here's your shoe. There has to be a careful examination of how you can lose something in this space. When you begin to talk about spiritual things, we have to ask ourselves, how much clutter do we have going on in our house? I'm trying to find my purpose. I'm trying to find the thing that's going to motivate me to move beyond the pew, to do what God has called me to do. But somehow I can't find it.
All right.
Some of us overlooking people that are cluttering our lives because we don't want to move them. We're looking at people dead in their face knowing that their gossip is cluttering our brains, but we don't want to move them. We look at our job situations, we look at our economic situations that play our mind, we look at everything that's going on in this house, in this temple, and we know that it's there, but we won't move anything. I like it the way it is, but you still ain't going nowhere. Check this out. It's a story of Eli in the Old Testament, who was a priest, chief priest. He was, for the most part, a good guy. He ended up mentoring Samuel. But he was trying his best, if I can contemporize a little bit, he was trying to get his sons ready to take over the church after he retired. But his sons, though they were the sons of priests, exposed to the scripture, knew protocol and procedure, they were not connected to the holy God that their father was trying to get them to serve. And because of their actions where they try to take the sacrifices off the table and do all kind of ungodly things in the house, when they die, God marked the temple Ichabod, which means the Lord no longer dwells here. Church, you need to be careful about losing your purpose and your drive because it may show God apathy towards what he wants to do in your life.